Hey guys, my name's Doug with Infotainment.com. Today we're working on a build series here in this Ram truck behind me. This is the 4th gen Ram truck, the 1500s and the heavy duties. Today I'm going to show you guys how to install body colored handles. Now, a lot of you who have tradesmen's, you have the textured black handles around the outside of your truck. That's what we have on this particular truck. We're upgrading this truck to have a whole bunch of really cool factory options. So this is something we're going to add. Now, there is a website and a link that I'll provide you guys on the bottom of this video in the description. Those of you who not only want to add body colored handles, but also maybe want to add passive entry. So you can walk up to your truck, press a button on the actual handle, and it will unlock. That is an option with this company. They include all factory parts. They've been a great partner of ours for a long time. Maybe you want to add push to start. So you come in your truck and just push the button to start your truck. That's also other things they do as well. So great partner of ours again. We're not going to do that to this specific truck today. We're just going to add the handles. So we'll at least show you that for now. But be sure to check them out by clicking the link in this video. So let's get started on this one.
So even though we're going to be switching out our door handles for the passive entry door handles, we're not going to actually be wiring it up. So basically we're swapping these out so we can get the appearance that we want. We want the white with the chrome inserts on our handle. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. Where I'm going to start is actually on the perimeter of the door. You have a series of 6 plastic push pin type panel pops or retaining clips. In the center is I think it's like a T20 or T15 Torx. You don't actually have to use a Torx bit to get these out. You get a flathead screwdriver. You can wedge it between the top screw part of that clip and pull that out, and then the bottom pulls out as well. So it's just a 2-part retaining clip. All right, next I'm going to take off the little triangle portion here of our interior panel. It just pops off with some clips on the back, pulls straight out. All right, and then I'm going to work behind the door handle. There's a little plastic cover here, and this is covering a Phillips screw right in the center there. Take that screw out, and then this whole cover plate actually pops out and off of that handle. And now I'm going to remove our window switch that lifts up. It has some retaining clips around the perimeter of the switch, and I'll unplug it and set the switch aside. All right, now we can lift our door panel up and off of the door. We'll set this aside. All right, now we got the door panel removed. That exposes our door skin. We actually have to remove this whole interior panel to access our door handle, which is back in this area. So the first thing I'm gonna remove is the speaker down here. And this has 4, I believe it's 5mm screws holding it on. And we can remove the speaker by unplugging it and setting it aside. All right, so from here, what we're gonna do is pop this little access panel open, let that hang, and now we have access to our window channel here. There's one on both sides, and these 2 channels actually hold or support the window. So we're gonna have to hang the window to remove all of this assembly from the vehicle. So in order to do that, we have to lower the window until we can see the clips that are actually mounted to the glass in both of these openings. And we'll unclip it from these channels, and we'll have to pull the window up and support it with some tape so we can kind of pull this whole panel free without worrying about that window being in our way. All right, so I put the ignition on, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plug in the window switch that I removed earlier so I can roll the window down until I can see that plastic clip right there. That's what I want to access. Yep, and I can see it on the other one as well. All right, so you can see the clip that I'm talking about here. It's actually this more of a cream color plastic clip that's attached to the glass. There's two plastic little arms here that move. What you have to do is you have to depress each side of that while pushing up on the glass. So as you depress both sides, you'll actually free the glass from the clip, and you're gonna be lifting it up and away from this main white bracket here. So you have to do that on both sides at the same time, kinda, to support the window away from the mount here. So from here, it's a good idea if you have a friend or somebody to assist you with pulling the glass up, as well as having some tape ready on hand so you can apply it to the glass when it's up there. Because once you separate the glass, you're basically just gonna lift it all the way up. So I'll push these down while pulling up. Then you can see I actually separated it from this side, and I'll do the same thing on the other side. All right, so I'm gonna slide the glass up in the window channel and put some, or keep some pressure on it. And then I'll just put over some painter's tape here that all right, that should be pretty good. I'll put a couple pieces on here. I'll put one more just in case. All right, so with the window supported here, basically, once you pull this frame out, if this were to fall, you could possibly damage the glass. So you want to put enough tape up here to hold up the glass so you confidently know that this is not going to come crashing down once you pull everything out of here. All right, now what I need to do is disconnect all the wiring that I can from this plastic panel, because we're actually going to remove this completely from the vehicle. So I'm going to start with the clips that are holding on our wiring harness. All of the wires going into our window or our side mirror module here. We can unplug all of this. The window motor or window regulator, also we can take that plug off. And even the speaker wire down here. All right, so when it's all said and done, you should have everything loose from this plastic panel except for this one wire. Once we take off the 10mm bolts that are securing this panel, we'll actually have access to the back side of this, and we'll take this completely off as well. So from here, we'll go ahead and pull those off. All right, now with all the bolts removed, there's nothing holding this panel on. Because I've moved or removed this panel before, it's not stuck to the door, but initially when you remove it, you may feel like the seal that's back here may be kind of stuck. So just pull it a little bit and it should come free. And kind of jiggle it out here a little bit. And what I'm trying to gain access to is the back side of the handle has a rod similar to this, and there's actually a clip holding that on. I'm gonna have to remove that clip so I can pull the rest of this completely away from the door. All right, so this is the clip that I'm talking about. Here's the rod going up to our door handle. And the clip right at the bottom, all you have to do is push it to one side, just like that. It'll swing out of the way. And then the rod will pull straight out of there. And when we go to reassemble it, all we're doing is pushing that back in and flipping that clip back over so it locks into place. All right, now with the rod removed, we can pull the door panel or the door skin away from the door. Kind of got to jiggle it a little bit, get this whole assembly pulled out. And from here, you can see where the grommet is going through our door panel in between this window channel and coming across to our latch. And right up top, you have a red little tab that is securing that connector. So you'll depress that, pull that off, and then we can go ahead and pull this completely through. And there's a little, there's another clip here that's holding that wire on. But once you get it through, push that grommet all the way through the door, and that'll free your harness from the door. And now you can set this aside. All right, now with our door skin removed, you can see our bare exterior door, the inside of it. If you're gonna apply sound deadening, now would be the time. You have full access to all of the bare metal that you could cover up to get your interior audio levels a little bit lower. But we're not gonna do that. We're just concerned with the handle. And all we have is one on the inside here and two on the very outside. Right there. So we'll remove all three. All right, now we can remove the handle from the outside. All right, so pull, and we have our assembly with the rod here. This is the only thing that we're gonna have to transfer over. All right, so now with our two handles side by side, we can go ahead and transfer over our rod. And you just want to make sure that you keep it in the same orientation that you pull it off from, because it will fit if you install it wrong, but it won't work on the vehicle. So just like the interior one, it just has this plastic clip here that you'll slide down, put the rod on the new handle and snap it in place. Now we can put this back in the truck. All right, before I slide the new handle in, I'm just going to clean off some of this dirt. Now I'll slide the handle with rod back into the door. You kind of got to fish it over into that slot there. I'm going to slide the wiring in there. All right, just like that. And already that's a huge difference in the way our door looks. All right, from here, we're just going to reinstall the three 8mm screws that we pulled out from our original handle. All right, and from this point on, we can just reinstall everything that we removed in the reverse order. Before we put our door skin back together, what I'm gonna do is zip tie this connector up on this beam inside the door here. There's two pre-drilled holes right here that I'm actually just gonna run a zip tie through just to have this pulled up nice and tight, just so it's not rubbing against our glass or gonna interfere with anything once we have everything back together. All right, now from this point, we can go ahead and reinstall our door skin. We're just gonna repeat the same steps that we did earlier, just in reverse. So I'm gonna start with that long wire that's connected to the latch with the grommet on it. I'll feed that into the door and basically go into the same path that it took. I believe it was behind this cable. Make sure to lock that little red tab back into place, because that's a hard one to get to. You don't want that coming undone once the door's back together. All right, now I'll slide the skin back in pretty much the same way I took it out. And before I put it all back together, I got to reattach that rod that we removed earlier. All right, now we'll line up all of our holes. And we can reattach all of our 10mm bolts. All right, now with our interior door skin firmly in place, I can go ahead and pull the tape off. Now I'm still supporting our glass by pressing upwards, but I can remove the tape and I'll guide it down. I'm kind of putting outwards pressure on the glass to keep it in a linear direction here. And once you reach those clips, it should kind of just snap into place. And if you can't pull your window back out, then you know your window's secure. All right, now I can reattach all the wires that I removed earlier. Snap all the harnesses back in. When it comes to this module here, all the wires will only plug in one way, so you can't get it wrong. And when it comes down to the speaker harness, there is a notch cut into the frame of the speaker mount that the wire will sit in. So when you put the speaker back on, you don't want that wire just anywhere because it'll get smushed. So you want to make sure that's in that little groove there, and then we can go ahead and reinstall the speaker. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and install the T30 Torx that are holding on our door latch. And we'll put this little access cover back on right here. And before we continue with reinstalling our door panel, you wanna give your newly installed handle a little function test. So to make sure all your latches and everything are good, you can lock the door, open it, your lock should unlock. And to test the new handle, in the latch itself, what I grab is a small flathead. When you press that latch inwards, it'll actually click into place just like you're closing the door. And you can come out here and open the handle. And if you open the handle, that should pop open. So that's how you know your new handle is working and the rod is still connected in there. All right, now that we got function all tested and out of the way, we can go ahead and reinstall our door panel. All right, once you got your lock through there with the door panel kind of in its place but elevated, push it against the door and push down. All the holes should line up where it needs to go, and there shouldn't be a gap that you can fit your hand into around the door. That's how you know you got it in place. It may take a couple times to get all of those hooks to seat back in so this thing sits nice and flush, but once you get it, you won't be able to pull the door off with nothing holding it on. Now we'll reattach all of our clips and we'll pop our window switch back in, as well as our cosmetic cover for our handle here. And when you're sliding this in, the side closest to the handle actually sits behind the door panel. So don't try to snap it in, slide this side in first. and then you can push down the outside end of that. All right, and lastly, we can snap on our little door triangle here. All right, now that we got this side wrapped up, we'll just work our way around the vehicle and do the remaining 3 doors. All right, so starting on the back door, it's basically the same thing as the front door with a few differences. One is this panel here, which basically just pops outwards. It's got a couple of retaining clips in there. And the other one is, instead of having 2 of those retaining clips on the bottom, there's only 1. But besides that, it's pretty much the same thing. So we'll just get into the install, copying what we did in the front. Pop this panel off. And if you lose any of these retaining clips from this panel, they fall into the door. Since we're gonna be taking the whole door skin off anyway, we can pull those back out. All right, so when we get to the point where we're ready to unclip our window, you'll notice the access panel here, when you roll your window down, is actually not positioned correctly to remove those clips. You can get to one side, but not really on the other side. And that's because this access panel is not for the removal of the glass. It's actually so you can get to your lock rod on the inside of the door. So in order to remove those clips, what we'll do is roll the window down so we can see the inside clips here in the speaker hole. And we'll come to this panel here. This is the access panel for the other set of clips on the outside of that glass. So you can get either a razor blade. This is kind of scored already for you, but you can get a razor blade and kind of score it just the rest of the way. You can also take a flathead, and you should be able to just kind of break that seal and pop off that little access plate that's on there. Now from in here, we can easily access those clips that are holding on the outside of our window. Now I'm gonna get this. All right, now that I got the window unclipped here, I got my tape that I got ready earlier and support our glass just like we did in the front. All right, now I can go ahead and remove the door wiring harness just like we did in the front. All right, now we can unclip our door handle, the exterior door handle from the latch in here. Same way like we did on the front. If you look in this access hole here, you're going to look for the rod with the purple stripe on it. If it doesn't have a purple stripe, it's just a rod that's going up and down. Just unsnap that clip, pull the rod out, and now we can go ahead and remove all of the 10mm bolts holding our door skin on. All right, and we can pull out the 3 T30 Torx that are holding our latch on. All right, and just like the front, we're gonna have to wiggle out the door skin. All right, and from here we have our latch plug here, our electrical connector. We'll have to pull this off just like we did on the front door. Just like that. And we can unstring it, take all these pops off, and pull it off of our door skin. All right, now with the door skin removed, we can set this aside and swap out our exterior handle. All right, with our handle swapped out, we'll go ahead and run our latch plug back into the door and reinstall the door skin. All right, and don't forget to reattach your door handle to the interior latch in here. All right, the little access door that we removed to pop our window out, you can either glue it back in with some glue. You can plastic weld it, whatever you want to do to seal up that hole, but it is definitely not required. If you don't want to put this back on, you could simply put a piece of tape over this just to seal it up. All right, and from this point, we're ready to reinstall our door panel. right, now that we got the passenger side all wrapped up, we'll jump over to the driver's side and do the same thing. The side you want to pay attention to is the longer of the two sides. That's going to be the top. So if you get this all mixed up, just make sure the longer end is going to the back of the key cylinder. Now once you get this pulled off, you can pull your handle off and get the key swapped out over to your new handle. Alright, now that you have both your new and old handle on the bench here, once this is out of the vehicle, you can simply pull the key cylinder out and in the same orientation slide it into your new handle. And you can do your lock rod or your handle as well, your handle rod. Alright, now we're ready to put it back in the vehicle. All right, and that wraps up the install for our passive entry painted handles. Even though we didn't add the passive entry feature, I still think this is a really nice way to update the exterior of your truck. It gives it that more premium look. Those plastic handles are usually a sign that you have the lower model or lower trim package for your truck. But yeah, if you found this video informative and you like what you see, come back to infotainment.com.